Hi, welcome back to a new video. Today I want to talk all about my favourite books. So this is going to be an updated video as the last one I did was 2 years ago, and I feel like some books have stood the test of time, but there is some absolutely brilliant new ones that to add to the list. I've got 7 books to talk about today, so let's just get straight into it. Kicking straight off, we have got The Shining by Stephen King. Now, this is one of the books that has stood the test of time. I read this in 2016 and it is still one of my all-time favourite reads. I saw the film before I read the book, so I already had this prior knowledge to what was going to happen. But the book is so much different to the film. It honestly feels completely different. So I can really understand why, I don't know if this is a rumour or if this is true, but why Stephen King doesn't actually like the Stanley Kubrick film adaptation. So, but if you don't know what The Shining is, if you've not seen the film or read the book, it is pretty much your typical haunted house read. It is based in a hotel. It's the Overlook Hotel, and Jack Torrance is hired to be the caretaker over the winter months whilst the hotel is shut down. So him, his wife Wendy and his son Danny will be the only ones staying in the hotel. It is a story of cabin fever, and it really does take hold of Jack Torrance, and it all unravels in this book. It is full of atmosphere, has your spine absolutely tingling, goosebumps, and just like Joey from Friends, you will want to put this one in the freezer at points, but it is absolutely brilliant. And because it's been so long since I have read it, I am planning a reread this year and I cannot wait. Staying on track with the Stephen King books, this is 11/22/63, and I read this in 2019, I believe. And when I tell you I haven't stopped thinking about this book since, that is the absolute truth. I think about this book multiple times a month. It absolutely destroyed me, and it's not something that I was really anticipating. It follows a guy in 2011 named Jake Epping. He's an English teacher and he is tasked with having to stop the assassination of Kennedy. Now, you might be thinking 2011, it didn't happen then. Something's not adding up. Well, Jake has to go back in time. He has to leave the world of mobile phones, computers, everything modern, and go back to 1963. And he is greeted with American diners, big cars, and root beer. And just the absolute unexpected happens. He ends up meeting a woman and he falls in love, and it is just an absolute whirlwind. I have never known a book take such unexpected turns where I feel like I literally got whiplash from reading this book. But it's one of those where if I say too much, I feel like it's just going to really ruin the build up throughout the book. Like, it is chunky, but it really didn't take me that long to read, and I feel like that just proves how brilliant of a writer Stephen King is, that he will make me read such a thick book in such a short amount of time, because I am not a fast reader in the slightest. I am very slow, but this, I absolutely demolished it and it left me feeling so heartbroken. I've never sobbed a book so much as I did with this one. Like I said, it absolutely broke me, and I still think about certain events at the end of the book to this day. Next we have I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. If you follow me on TikTok, you will already be fed up of hearing about this book, because I mention it maybe on a weekly basis, if not monthly basis. I speak on how much I absolutely love this book. This was my top read of last year, and again, it's another book that I just can't stop thinking about. It was very thought-provoking and made me just think about everyday life just more on a deeper level. It really got my brain ticking. But it follows a group of 39 women who are living underground, basically imprisoned in a cage, and they have no recollection of how they got there. They just know that this is their life now. The quote on the back really gives me goosebumps, but it's a perfect basically wrap up of what the book is going to entail. So it says, "For a very long time, the days went by, each just like the day before. Then I began to think, and everything changed." Which, it's just, I can't even really articulate, put into words how I feel about this book. I find it so difficult to get my points across, but just know this is an incredible read, and it is only short. So please, if you read any book this year, any book from this stack, please make it this one. I feel like it is just so important. Now onto some less thought-provoking books, but this is an absolute ride. This is Schrader's Chord by Scott Leeds. Now, all my horror lovers out there, this one is for you. It is described as a rock and roll horror, and it is just absolutely brilliant. The image of Schrader that this book describes is absolutely vile. Like, it's how they described him, I was literally like looking over my shoulder. I was so creeped out by the image of him. Oh my god. It's just, honestly, just I don't even know how to describe it. It follows Charlie Remick, and he has to return home to Seattle to sort out his father's funeral. His father leaves him 2 parting gifts in his will. One is the keys to the record shop that he owns, and another is a set of 4 records where supposedly, if they're all played at the same time, they will open the gate to the land of the dead. And obviously, horror books being horror books, why do the characters always do the wrong thing? So the records are played all at the same time, and you can probably guess what happens from there. But absolutely loved this. This was one of the most fun horror books that I've read for a while, and such a unique concept. I love that it's described as a rock and roll horror, because they're just 2 of my favourite things, rock and roll and horror. So any lovers of those 2, please pick this one up and just look at the cover. It's just absolutely brilliant. So now down to the last 2, and I have got a gothic romance for you. This was popping up very frequently on TikTok, and I just knew I had to pick it up. It's got vampires, it's got Dracula, and just the cover alone was so intriguing. This is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. It follows Dracula's wife, Constata, and the format of the book is letters from her to him. It is unlike anything I've ever read before. I don't think I've ever read a book that is letters. So it's all from her perspective, and just how of an awful relationship she had with Dracula, how she's becoming more and more aware of a really horrible situation that she's in. But like I say, it's a gothic romance, so there is some really cool elements to the story. It's very seductive and spine tingling. It has all the buildable tension that you love. But if you are a fan of Dracula and vampires, this is definitely one to add to your TBR. Last but definitely not least is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This was absolutely everywhere, all over BookTok, Bookstagram, BookTube. You've probably already seen this already everywhere, but I have to mention it in my favourites because I absolutely love it. I am reading Iron Flame at the minute, getting ready for Onyx Storm releasing at the end of this month, and I cannot contain my excitement. So it follows Violet Sorrengail entering the Bayscape War College, and she wasn't initially wanting to enter to be a dragon rider. She was meant to be in the scribe quadrant, which is obviously the safer option of the two. So she is up against it. She has so many challenges to overcome, as well as her own body not being like any other students, as she is weaker. And obviously there's a love interest. It's enemies to lovers, it's dragons, it's fantasy, it's political, it's anything that you want in a fantasy book. Just tick it off, because this has it. There's a little quote on the back which I feel sums up this book perfectly, and it says, "A wild, sexy roller coaster of a ride." And hell yes, it is. And so far, the second book, Iron Flame, loving every minute of it. The tension, again, is sizzling. It's just, ugh, I love it and I'm addicted. I cannot get enough. That's my 7 favourite books of all time. I'm hoping that we can grow this list throughout this year and read some more very good, very amazing books. Let me know if you've read any of these and what you thought of them as well, if they are your favourite. And also let me know what your favourite book is. I'd love to know, and if any are on my TBR. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.